Welcome, everybody. I'm excited to chat through Google Analytics and Meta Basics today. This is powered by not only Taste the Local Difference, but also GrownBy. So we'll be referencing them a bit throughout the webinar as well. And yeah, with that, we can go ahead and get started. All right, so Taste the Local Difference is a local food marketing agency, and we specialize in marketing strategies for small farm and food businesses. We really love uplifting these folks with purpose-driven and passionate entrepreneurs, and we love telling their stories, finding loyal customers, and helping y'all build successful, well-connected businesses. And this is hopefully going to help with that mission here as we jump in. So a little bit more about me. I am the marketing director here at Taste the Local Difference. I was born and raised in Michigan, and now I'm based in Vancouver, Washington, which is just north of Portland, Oregon. So West Coast now, much to the dismay of my mother, but that's okay. And I've been in marketing for over 10 years now in digital project management. And I am a huge advocate for sustainable local food systems, as well as a sometimes successful forager, cook, and home grower. All right, a little bit more about what we'll cover today. So, we're going to go through the essentials before you launch any campaigns, what actually makes a campaign work, how to use and see what's happening in Google Analytics, as well as Google Search Console, and how to use meta ads to reach people, both boosted post and ad campaigns, and then how to turn clicks into real customers. All right, so before we get started with any sort of campaigns, we want to make sure that we address marketing fundamentals. So, good campaigns all start with the essentials. We want to make sure that y'all understand what customer profile you're trying to target. So, let's say that you want to get some more wholesale customers. That would be your target audience versus, maybe folks who want to buy CSA shares. So, direct to consumer there versus wholesale buyers. So think about who your customer profile is that you want to target, and then ensuring that you have well-designed on-brand visuals. You can see an example here to the right of some folks that we've worked with up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, Mother Farmer, but they have very crisp, clean branding, a really beautiful website, but just making sure that all of your branding translates well to your customers and folks that are searching for your business. And then clear and compelling messaging is also very important. And we want to make sure that that goes all the way back to your target customer and your target audience, making sure that that messaging is compelling and clearly communicating your services and products and offerings. And then a planned out campaign strategy. So ensuring that you are taking the time to slow down, thinking of the goals that you want to accomplish throughout your campaign, and then other marketing assets such as landing page, checkout page, confirmation emails, etc. I'll get more into that bullet throughout the presentation, but essentially making sure that every single touch point that a customer could potentially see makes sense and is easy to communicate. Sorry about that. All right. So jumping in, we want to start with what's already happening. So as you can see here on the right side, there are some screenshots from Google Analytics. And before you run a full campaign, I'd encourage you to take a look at what's already happening. So Google Analytics is a a really great free tool that you can set up on your website. But I would say that depending on where your website's built, there's also some built-in features that in your built-in analytics that you can use, and those are just as helpful sometimes. So if you have a Squarespace site or a Shopify site, you're able to see some analytics in there as well. And then Google Search Console is also a really great free tool. So some questions to start with. Are people visiting your site? Where are they coming from? What pages are they looking at? And are they taking the next step? And what you can see here are a couple screenshots on the right side from our Google Analytics setup for our local food marketing site. And you can see that you can see everything from the page URL here on the left side to the sessions that are attributed to that page, and then active users, as well as new users and their engagement time. And then you can also take a look here within Google Analytics in the source that they came from. So let's say that you set up an email marketing campaign and you want to jump into Google Analytics and see, well, did that email campaign perform well? You can see how many visitors came to your website via that source. And then there's even more granular tools that we can use that I'll get into a little bit later. But the landing page is where a user first landed on your website. It lets, let's say you just published a social post with a CTA to read more. Check Google Analytics and you can see if there was an increase in traffic to that page after you posted. All right, so some Google Analytics basics. Google Analytics helps you see what people do once they reach your site. Oh, I think we have a raised hand. Do we want to answer that question?
Yeah, if you, Aaron, if you're able, because I don't know if we have, if you can like unmute yourself here, if you can try to type it in the chat, and then yeah, we'll be able to answer it, or in the Q&A box.
Cool.
Perfect.
All right. I'll keep going on this content and then we can jump into that question, or we can jump into some questions at the end as well. We'll do a Q&A session at the end for y'all. Mm.
Aaron wants to know, are we using tracking pixels? Great question.
Yeah, so let me go back here. Sorry, I went forward. But yeah, so Google Analytics, and when you set it up, you're able to connect it to your website, and it depends on the platform that it's on. Sometimes, if you're doing through WordPress or I believe Squarespace and Shopify both have it as well. But if you're wanting to track on Google Analytics through there, it's not a pixel. Pixel is the metapixel, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But in terms of installing Google Analytics on your site, there's a little, not to get too in the weeds, but there's either like a little code snippet or there is like a native integration that you can do within your website platform. And what you'll do is you'll just search Google Analytics, you'll set up an account, and Google Analytics creates that code for you to be able to inject into your website code or be connected in that way. So that's how you would get started with Google Analytics. And then I'll be sure to mention the pixel once we get to the social slides or the ad campaign slides. All right. So jumping into Google Analytics basics, Google Analytics helps you see what people do once they reach your site. And I mentioned Google Search Console before too, and Google Search Console we'll get into a little bit later, but that is a tool to see how people are getting to your site through organic search results. And then Google Analytics is what they do once they land on your site. So what you want to start looking for is users, the traffic source, pages, and key events. And key events are essentially conversions. So that's really whatever you want to set it to. Your call to action to join your newsletter can be a key event. Purchase now can be a key event. Checking out their cart, purchasing a CSA. All of those things can be set up and deemed as a key event. But you can see from our own instance of Google Analytics here on the right, our direct traffic is our number one traffic source, and then followed by email and organic search. So our emails do a really, really great job. For them to be competing with organic search is phenomenal. We love to see that much traffic coming from an email campaign and working along in tandem with organic search. All right, so a little bit more of a specific example, but to be able to measure what's working in Google Analytics, you can kind of connect the dots. So start with some simple questions. Did traffic go up? Did people visit the right page? Did they stay, click, sign up, or order? And which channel sent the best traffic? So as you could see on our last slide, email campaigns sent a ton of traffic to our local food marketing website. But if you look on the right here, you'll see we had published a blog about hot honey and sourdough, and we went ahead and promoted that on social media. And then it also went out in an email newsletter campaign. So to check the effectiveness of this campaign in Google Analytics, you can look up page path, which is different than a landing page, but via the page path, you can see look up specific URLs. So the blog Hot Honey Bread and Butter, you can see got 81 views, 51 active users, views per active user, so they're coming back more than once. And then the engagement time, pretty good. It's a fairly simple recipe. So for that to be the engagement time across 81 views is really great. Um, but that is one way to check the effectiveness of a campaign. And this is obviously a bit of a smaller campaign. All right. Jumping into Google Search Console, so like I mentioned, this shows you how people find you on Google. This is another free product from Google, and it is going to be the same kind of setup that I explained for Google Analytics. It's a free tool. You'll look for Google Search Console on Google. You can log in, create an account, and it's going to set up similarly. So it'll either develop that code for you to put into your website, or it will integrate natively through like the back end of your website. Let's say if you're on WordPress or Shopify. So what to look for, what people searched for, which pages showed up, how many people clicked, and where there might be missed opportunities. So you can see on the right here, queries would be search terms that people put into Google to be able to get to your website. So as you can see on the right, this is for our marketing website, and local food marketing gets them there. It's getting some clicks and some really good impressions. TLD marketing, which also makes sense, that would be a branded term. Marketing funding. So we're getting some views on marketing funding. It might tell us, hey, we need to put some more content about marketing funding on our website or update any existing blog or landing page that we may have around funding marketing projects. And you can kind of translate to that to your own business, your farm or food business, that same kind of thing. So let's say you set up a Google Search Console account, you jump in, you see that the queries leading to your page aren't necessarily related to what you want to be selling. That tells you that maybe that there's some updates that you can make to your website to be better tailored to what you do want to be selling. And then on the bottom here, you can see the landing pages performance as well. So these would be your website pages performance on Google itself before they get to your website, like I mentioned.
Kelly, can I ask really quick? There's a question from Q&A about what sessions are. I know it was on the previous
Yeah,
page, but if you could explain that, that'd be great.
yeah, definitely. I think it might have been 2 pages ago here.
Okay.
Sessions. Yeah. Okay, so sessions are going to be like the aggregate total of all of the sessions people are spending on your site. So let's say 5 different people visited your website, but they had multiple engagement points. So one person visited 3 times. That would be the total of sessions would be their 3 visits plus the other 5 people. Um, and however many different sessions that they had on your website within that month. So if they have the same like IP address and Google is counting it several times, the session is the aggregate total versus the um, versus just how many. There's a different category on Google Analytics that would be new users. So the new users would kind of segregate that into unique visits versus the sessions is going to be that aggregate total. Hopefully that's helpful. All right, let's jump back down this way. And thanks, Eric.
And yeah, and then for tracking, just as you're just talking about that as well, there's
Mhm.
a question about is it okay to use a third-party landing page like Unbounce for tracking purposes?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. My main recommendation would be to stay on your website as much as possible. But obviously, when you have a storefront like Go GrownBy or Unbounce for a form, you can definitely use that if it has better tracking metrics. We just want to make sure that that page It depends on what you're using that page for. If it's a landing page, I would recommend trying to keep that content on your website. But if it's something like a form, then you can have it there um, to be kind of tracked differently. But as long as you have the ability to track it, I think it's good to, sorry, that answer got a little sticky, but as long as you have the ability to track it and you're able to make sure the campaign is successful or not successful would be the main goal there. And whenever possible, keep content on your website, is the gist. All right. So, let's see, jumping into a simple campaign. So, if you were to want to run ads and consider something outside of just organic search, I want to make sure that y'all are set up for success. So, now that you have an idea of what is important in your marketing campaign and what visitors are doing on your website, you can kind of take the step to consider ad campaigns. So, I would encourage you to pick one thing to promote to start with, and have that campaign just focused on that one thing. So let's say that you're launching your CSAs for the season, or you're going to be at the farmer's market. The call to action can be a little bit different, but I would pick one thing to promote, so a CSA, a product, or an event, and then keep the messaging clear and simple and send people to one place. So when you're sending people to that one place, that one URL, that one landing page, make sure the call to action is clear and test the form, test the click through, whatever happens after the user submits their information. We want to make sure that they're able to take the action associated with the campaign that you're promoting. So here's a couple examples on the right. Far Out Feeds is a client that we worked with, and we did an ad campaign for them, but their intent wasn't necessarily to get people to purchase, but it was brand awareness because they're new to the market. They're smaller than, let's say, Scratch and Peck Feeds over here on the left, and they are an all organic feed, and they just wanted to spread awareness. So the CTA there is learn more, and it goes directly to their products page that teaches folks more about the products that they offer to build that awareness. And then the idea from there would be you can take that audience from that brand awareness campaign and translate it into um, an audience to potentially do a shopping campaign afterwards. So once you have people interested and aware of your brand, then you can do a follow-up campaign that would be more of a purchase intent campaign of we want them to be able to buy our product next since they know who we are now. But for this example, Far Out Feeds, we did a brand awareness campaign, and that was the promotion was to promote their feeds and that it was a new function to their farm. And then Scratch and Peck has some good examples here on the right. Um, and if you're ever curious what other folks are running in terms of ads, you're able to check out the Ad Transparency Center for both Google and Facebook. And you can put in any URL and see what other folks are running for their ads. So if you're like, oh, I want to see, what this other farm is doing. I know they run ads and I need a little bit of inspiration. You're able to put it in there as well. All right. So to put another layer into tracking, not only is Google Analytics helpful to understand at a page level what people are doing once they get to your website, but you can create what's called UTMs. And UTMs are custom URLs that can help you promote a campaign. So let's say you are wanting to sell your summer CSA and you are promoting on Instagram, through email, an ad, on your website, etc. You can make different URLs for each of those purposes. And on the right here is an example of how you would build out those UTMs. I don't have it linked here, but I'll make sure to shoot y'all the link to be able to build, I think it's UTM Campaign Builder, which you can Google. And that's going to create unique URLs for your Instagram post, your email newsletter, and your Facebook and Instagram ad. And then once you go into Google Analytics, like I showed, you can type in that URL, and then all of the extensions, they call them slugs. All of the extensions on the URLs will show up, and you can see which campaign was most productive. So you can see, let's say the URL for Instagram got 50 visitors, your email campaign got 70 visitors, and your ad got 80 visitors. You know that the ad was really productive, the email newsletter was productive, the Instagram post was productive, but not as productive. And you can kind of learn and grow from these insights. But yeah, so it helps you answer, did people come from Instagram, email, or an ad? What campaign actually drove the traffic? And then is there anything you're doing working better than the rest? Let's see, is there a Okay, cool. All right. So where ads fit in, it's hard. I really encourage y'all to have a campaign set up and an idea of all of that stuff that we talked about in the beginning, before you jump into doing an ad campaign. But when you are ready to run an ad campaign, as I mentioned, ensure that you have one clear thing to promote, a landing page that people can actually act on, like I mentioned. You don't want to promote your CSA purchase and then send them to your homepage because then they're going to have to take a few more clicks. You might lose the customer. If you're putting an ad out there for people to join your CSA, make sure they're landing on a page that they can click a button and join your CSA. So really honing in on that clear next step. Um, yeah, a couple other examples. Pre-order for Saturday pickup, we would want shop now. Event this weekend, get tickets. So also changing up that CTA to align with your campaign is very important. Um, like I said, this was a brand awareness campaign on the right side. We wanted folks to be able to learn more, so we sent them to the shop to be able to learn more about what products that Far Out Feeds offered. But if this was a purchase intent campaign where we wanted them to buy the hog mash, instead, we would say, shop now or purchase now, and then put them on the product page for the hog mash, as opposed to just being a general campaign. So before you run your ads, ask if someone lands here, can they actually do the intended action? And make sure that they can. All right, so this is what the back end of Ads Manager looks like in Meta. It is not very pretty and it is very data heavy and a little tricky to navigate. Meta is not terribly user friendly. Don't tell them I said that. I hope they don't hear this, but it's not. So it's a little tricky to learn. But here is the Far Out Feeds campaign that we ran and what we learned from it. So we tested multiple ad sets within a small radius, and it ended up being that the audiences were too narrow. So you can see here, these chicken owner campaign and the Murdoch's campaign, which is where they were starting to sell their feeds. They were active, but the impressions are super low, and the reach was very low, and it doesn't show it on here, but the landing page clicks were, I could count on one hand. So, what that told me was that it was too narrow of an audience for these campaigns to be separate from each other. And next time, and this is what I told the client too, is that we would combine these small local audiences into one, avoid over-targeting in tight geographic areas, and split the campaigns only when there's enough scale. So you can see for this regional focus, which is we wanted to sell bulk feed, pallets of feed, versus just individual bags for chicken owners, or encouraging people at Murdoch's to purchase a couple bags. Regional is going to be ordering by the pallet. We expanded beyond Montana to all of the surrounding states and had a really great reach and impression numbers. We had, I believe, about 2,000 impressions on the landing page, and it just completely outperformed the smaller campaigns. So, with that being said, next time we would do this, I would combine um, the chicken owners and Murdochs. I would reduce the cost for that one and put more of the spend into the regional because it's just really taking off. Um, and you can kind of see all these numbers in here, which is really great. All right. So again, Meta and its user friendliness or lack of user friendliness. There are two types of ads that you can run, a boosted post and then a meta ad. What I've been talking about are those ad campaigns. That is a full-blown campaign. That is something that you can do. You don't have to set an end date. You can just continue to let it run. It's going to populate in the ad campaign center. Whereas a boosted post is going to be more of a one-off thing. This is an example from our holiday gift guide on the right, where we were promoting it. Just on Instagram. We wanted to get the word out there. It's a quick setup, good for simple promotions. There was an easy call to action of join the newsletter, join the gift guide, get these promotions, and it was a one and done. It was a quick campaign off the cuff. Whereas the meta ads that I was showing you for far out feeds are going to be more intentional, more thought through. You have creative for different pieces of it. You have different formatted creative. There's a lot more back end work that has to go into setting up like a full ad campaign versus just doing a boosted post. All right. So if you are to run an ad campaign, I would encourage you to focus on a few key metrics. So clicks, are people engaging with your ad? Cost per click, how much are you paying for that traffic? Is it worth it? Are you selling enough to be able to recoup the cost of what you've paid in that ad? Landing page views, did they actually make it to your site from the ad? Did they click the button? And what to look for. If you're getting a lot of impressions but not a lot of click-throughs, they're seeing it but maybe ignoring it. So maybe it's time to change up the copy in the text or change up the creative in the ad. It's not, resonating with people, it's not hooking people, it's not grabbing their attention. Are they making it to the page or are they dropping off? And then is one ad clearly outperforming the other, which I just showed you a pretty good example that that regional set is clearly outperforming that local set. So examples here on the right side, you can see the results, cost per result, 12 cents per landing page view. And this is for the regional campaign specifically. The amount spent, and then the total impressions and accounts reached. And this is kind of similar to the sessions versus new users thing that I explained in Google Analytics, where the impressions is how many total times people saw the ad, but then it only reached 20,000 people. So 20,000 people total, but 47,000 impressions over all of those 27 or 20,000 people. All right, so the full circle piece here is connecting ads back to Google Analytics. Ads tell you what happened in the ad, and then Google Analytics is going to show you what happened after. So uh, you can see on the right here that this slide shows results from Shopify Analytics. So this is my note here is like depending on what platform you're on, GrownBy, Shopify, Squarespace, any of those platforms, this is the like native analytics piece. Since I didn't have Google Analytics set up, but I had the Pixel set up, um, the Pixel will connect your website to the ads, and that's where they get the data from. But then this data specifically is from the back end of Shopify. And you can see on the top, that was the month before running ads. So Facebook sessions or traffic from Facebook to the website was only 36 sessions and 6 sessions from Instagram to the website from social before the campaign. And then when we ran the campaign, wild difference, right? So with that $249, we went from 36 visitors to the website from Facebook organically to almost 2,000 visitors to the website from Facebook organically. And that's so great for them. They were just starting this feed business. It was a new branch of business, and we drove a lot of traffic to really build awareness to their site. Um, so yeah, you can use both together to answer, did paid social traffic increase? Did people really visit the page that you wanted them to? Did they stay or leave right away? And you can see the sessions over here on the left. about a 585% increase in landing page visits, which is phenomenal. But yeah, I would say that this campaign was successful. And it's really helpful to connect it back to the analytics after running it. All right. So we can jump in a little bit more to calls to action. So those CTAs, those buttons that you're using throughout your campaigns or even on your website organically. After someone clicks your ad or post, they should know exactly what to do. And I probably sound like a broken record, but I mean it. Make sure it works and make sure people can take that action once they get there. It is so important to user experience and the success of your campaigns. Um, to make that happen, your offer should be clear, your page should match what they clicked on, there should be one simple next step. And make it specific. Order for pickup this week, shop now, sign up today. I'm going to say it again. Where you send people matters. Send them directly to the page where they can take that action. Don't just send them to your homepage. I won't mention the last two bullets, but again, make sure that there are as few clicks as possible to make the action that you want to really deliver that campaign home. It looks like we have another raised hand. Samuel, do you want to throw your question in the chat for me?
Yeah, there's also a Q&A section you can put some in, and then we'll get to those either as they come or as they're applicable in the slides.
Cool. All right. Yeah, Erica, if you want to just let me know if that question comes through, I can pause.
Will
All
do.
right. So looking at what actually worked, this is how you know if your campaign worked and how GrownBy can help as well. I've mentioned, looking at your native analytics and whatever platform your website's on, GrownBy has the same analytics within the back end and just seeing if your orders increased based on the campaign that you ran, etc. But looking at orders during the campaign, what sold, and when people bought. So we've looked at clicks, traffic, and this is the final step. Did people actually place orders for what you were promoting? This tells us if the campaign worked, gives you a way to calculate return on investment, and if it's worth it to continue running ad campaigns. I think I saw a question come through before the webinar. With margins being so slim, is it worth running an ads campaign? I would say focus on organic first. Focus on the improvements that you can make to your website through SEO and organic search, making sure your Google business profile is up to date and functioning, etc. And then once all of that is functioning really well and you've completely optimized the amount of organic traffic from Google to your website, or to, your socials, etc., then you can consider an ad campaign. We want to make sure that those margins are there enough to be able to support a small campaign before running it. Um, the only caveat to that I would say is if you need sales immediately and you want to run an ad campaign and you need to sell those CSA shares, you might go for it with the slimmer margins, but just keep everything in mind that I've already talked about. Really hone in on your target audience, making sure your content is up to date and correct, your hours, where you're showing up to market, where the deliveries are taking place or the pickups. Make sure everything is crystal clear and working to your advantage in the set of free tools before considering these paid tools. But like I said, SEO is a bit of a long game, so um, if you do need to run some paid ads in the interim, that's okay too. Um,
Um,
yeah,
so the question that just came through is it kind of matches up with an earlier question that I was hanging on to because it ties in directly with grown by. But since we're on a slide that's specifically talking about grown by, maybe we can tackle both of those.
yeah, totally.
So the first one that came in earlier was is TLD leveraging an API to feed data to grown by, or offering a custom integration for grown by? So that's part one. The second one that just came through is you gave an example of inserting or integrating analytics. But if you send folks directly to GrownBy, does one need to insert analytics code or is it already integrated in GrownBy? And then when you try to correlate ad campaign success, are you comparing a page with home website success to GrownBy success, or are they somehow stitched together? Um,
Cool.
yeah.
All right. So the first one,
And I could also probably click and allow Eric to talk. If
yeah, that
Here we
too,
go.
Eric. If you want to jump in, you're more than welcome to.
Hey.
Hello. Oh, you can hear me at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes,
in short,
I can.
GrownBy, I think you guys might have a screenshot to share, but anybody who's a GrownBy user, if you go to your farmer dashboard, on the left-hand menu, scroll down to account settings, one of those sub-menus is called analytics. Oh, thank you.
Yep.
Oh, whoa. All right. I'm like really here now. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
I'm
There we
sent
go.
a request. I can share my screen if I need to, but
Oh yeah,
anyway,
there you
that's
go.
GrownBy. You can Here it is. So in your farmer dashboard, on the account settings, in the analytics submenu, this is where you would add a Google Analytics ID and add a MetaPixel ID. And once you do that, the questions that have been asked about does this show up where and when, the answer is now yes. So if you put your MetaPixel ID in here, it tracks all the things and all the stuff, and the same with the Google Analytics. So from a grown by side, all you need to do is if you have this information or once you get this information, you just connect it on your grown by store and now you can go analyze the data in the Google and Meta suites, but now it's like fully connected just as if you're using a Squarespace site or whatever that sort of connects with one click. We connect with like a copy paste and click. So yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Eric.
Thank you.
All right. Jump back in. Mhm. Cool. All right. So I think that answered both questions on Grown by there. All right. So recommendations, start with the basics, set up Google Analytics, Search Console, or your Metapixel, and then, as Eric said, you can directly integrate it into GrownBy on their platform, and let them collect data over time. So it's not going to populate instantaneously. Google Analytics is going to start the day that you set it up. It's not going to backdate any information. It's not going to grab you anything from the past. So it'll take a little bit of time to be able to look at those in tandem with your sale data within GrownBy or whatever platform that you're on. And then check what pages people are visiting and how they're finding you. Look for some simple opportunities. Which pages are getting traffic? Where could you improve clarity or calls to action? And what might be worth promoting? So if there's, a product that you're seeing is selling really well, or there's a product that you want to sell more of, is there an opportunity to create a campaign around that? Again, promote one thing, keep the message clear and send people to one page. Start with a boosted post if you want to test out an ad campaign but are intimidated by that full meta ad experience. And keep your audience broad. Learn from my lesson that I learned in keeping those ads too narrow. It wasn't successful, and the regional campaign ended up being a heck of a lot more fruitful for that farmer. And some final reminders before investing heavily in those campaigns. I've kind of said it throughout the whole presentation, but focus on getting all of your marketing fundamentals in place. Make sure that your website is functioning. Make sure that it has data and info for this year's products and services, not last year's. Any events or anything that you have mentioned on your site, make sure they're for this year, again, not last year. And then keep in mind that implementation is experimentation, and it's better to get comfortable understanding and tracking data before you run ads. So take that first step, set up a Google Analytics account, integrate it into your website, into your GrownBy account, and really get the ball rolling there first so that you're comfortable about navigating those analytics platforms before you just run and spend money on ads. Um, And also, I'll note that campaigns need to be monitored and adjusted. So start with intention, take it seriously, but be flexible and see what you learn. So I'll go back to that Far Out Feeds campaign. I had a conversation with them and I said, hey, I would combine these three ad sets, make it one regional campaign, reduce the spend on that campaign, and then increase the spend up to the regional campaign. Get those landing page views where they're more successful, and then go from there. All right. So we have a downloadable for you here today. 8 SEO tips that you can implement today. So, like I said, really focus on those organic results before trying to spend money on campaigns. But you're able to download this if y'all would like to. No, thanks for throwing it in the chat too, Erica. All right. Give people a second if they want to grab that QR code, but the link is also in the chat. Okay. Great. So here's my email. Too, we can go through some questions, but if y'all ever have any additional questions, feel free to reach out. I'll go back to the QR code so y'all can grab those. But we have some time for questions. If there's any questions that I didn't answer during um, the
Yeah.
presentation, you can drop them into the chat or the Q&A as well.
So I have another one that I think is actually going to be another for Eric. So it says outside of any boosted ad and programmatic spend, what is the cost to use TLD's integrations? Aaron, I'm just making sure. I don't know if you meant like TLD's advertising services, like ad management services, or if you meant like GrownBy's platform integrations. Um, OTLD's ad services. So it definitely depends on a few factors. Kelly, if you want to talk a little bit about it, but we can always, one thing we have, and I can put it in the chat, our localfoodmarketing.com site at the top. There is a marketing inquiry form you can fill out, and that will come through to our team, and then somebody will reach out to schedule a time to chat with you. Because I know there's multiple factors that go into how we quote out something like a ad management.
Yeah, it really depends on like the size of the ad, the size of your website, the size of your budget, and how much time it's going to take us to kind of do the research and look at the landscape for you and really get some tailored, customized things. So not being vague for the sake of being vague, but it's just so highly dependable that the price is really varied depending on your business.
Yeah, and then the other one, I'll get that in the chat in a second. Oh, I know. Yeah. Eric just put some good info about GrownBy in the
Mhm.
chat. And in case you can't see the chat, I mentioned just a second ago in the chat that while we have Eric here, if you have questions about GrownBy, like more specifics, I know he'd be happy to answer them. Um, but Aaron had also asked, and I just wasn't sure because it was about text campaigns, and I didn't know if that meant SMS text or if it was text as in like just copy with no graphics about creating a SMS text. Okay, yeah. So I know that's like a whole different thing, but it says from what I understand, I can create a custom slug that can be dedicated to just text campaigns. So when tracking conversions, I can see how that performs versus a boosted post via Meta.
Yep, totally. You can
Yeah.
create that UTM in the same way. It would just be a different platform. So for SMS text, and then build that UTM around SMS, use it, and then you can track the productivity of those campaigns as well in analytics.
Awesome. And then yeah, anything else? So I know yeah, so we have contact info in there. And then Eric, did you wanna? drop any additional links in for outreach if people have any questions. It looks like another question just came through. Any SEO recommendations in a world of AI overview snippets? Ooh, Kelly knows a ton about this. But
Uh,
yeah, and then yeah, Eric, feel free if there's anything else you want. Yeah, perfect. Eric just put his info in the chat about GrownBy too.
okay, cool. Thanks, Eric. SEO and AI. Besides crying about it, yeah, so there's a lot of new stuff coming out. Those snippets, the snippets do pull a little bit differently, and then there's also the whole like language learning model side of it that you can kind of start to tailor your content for. But for the sake of this question, um, I would encourage you to search products and services related to what you offer and sell um, in your area and see what shows up in those snippets. So you're looking to sell, your summer shares, CSA summer shares near me, or ask that specific search inquiry and then look at what the AI search or overview is pulling from. So it's gonna link, it's gonna show its sources. Click into those sources, see what those sources are saying about what you're offering, and use it as inspiration. I'm not saying copy verbatim what they're doing. I'm saying that is the structure that Google is rewarding currently. And if you can see what the other folks who are being referenced are doing, it can be very helpful for you to structure your page and content similarly. Hopefully that's helpful.
Awesome. There's no other questions in the chat or the Q&A box. But as oh, the QR code or the website again. Yes, let me grab it really quick. Um,
There's the QR code too.
yeah, perfect. And on that local food marketing, where the downloadables are, there's other downloadables that you can get. That's where the marketing inquiry form is, other webinars. And then thanks to Eric from GrownBy for being here. Definitely worth checking out, looking into. They're always adding new features to their platform. And I will say too, they are one where if you accept Snap or you're thinking about accepting Snap, they are one that allows you to do Snap online. And they have a new point of sale terminal that I got to see in person at the Marble Seed Conference. So lots of cool stuff happening over there. So yeah, thanks. Thank you all for being here today. And we'll
Yeah.
get the recording up soon if you want to rewatch any part of it.
Yeah. Thanks everybody. I appreciate it. And yeah, reach out if you have any specific questions. I'm always happy to answer those too.